Hey Matt, how you doing? How you doing, Matt? How's your night going? So everyone, welcome to Schmo Me the Money here. We are on immediately after the Oscars because we have some thoughts. Every year.
Hey, they dropped a new Fast 9 trailer. Hallelujah. Lustrina wasn't messing with us.
I mean, they did one earlier today that was like that was all about like go to the theater and whatnot. Which, you know who else said go to the theater? Frances McDormand, who is now a 4-time Oscar winner after tonight.
Yep.
Her producer credit in Nomadland. But every year the Oscars come and there are all these movies that we tout and we try to support, and we want, and the Oscars, they're really meaningless, right? They're really just about boosting the profile of something that we love. And we got a handful of movies that we really love that were nominated for things this year, some things that were snubbed, some things that weren't. It was a crazy year for movies, things being pushed back. But still, we thought maybe the Oscars could have at least some semblance of normalcy because they wanted to have a normal kind of ceremony. And then we forgot Steven Soderbergh is the one that decided to be the showrunner this year. And Steven Soderbergh not doing things normally.
Nope.
Why don't we do we want to just start up top with what the fuck just happened?
Nope.
No.
I need time to calm down and compose myself.
This is
because
Hasty's right.
Quiz, I'm not gonna lie. I will look like a horrible person if I don't have a few minutes to calm down.
All right. So why don't we? What I will do then here is I will just pull up who the winners were just to kind of like run through.
We know who the winners were.
I know. No, I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about some of the other ones where, oh man,
you're goddamn right. That's how it felt.
It's pretty awful. What happened here? It
was a gut punch.
It's hard to.
Mike Deegan.
Mike Deegan. I was watching Mortal Kombat again and just saw Twitter explode. Yeah. It's funny because I was like, I want to jump online. I want to talk to people about this. I want to get this recorded. And now it's like, I can't even form words. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Super strong run. I think maybe things went off the rails after Daniel Kaluuya said, thanks, Mom and Dad, for having sex.
I mean, but we got to see it really went off the rails when Glenn Close was doing debut.
Yeah. What do you think about debut, Maxwell?
You might want to drop the logo.
Yeah, I'm looking to how to drop the logo.
It was unnecessary, but
totally worth it.
Totally worth it.
Unnecessary, but
unnecessary.
Maxwell,
long time no see. I feel like it's been it's 5 minutes.
5 or 6 minutes, yeah.
It's as I was just saying right before you popped in, I wanted to just hop on because I was like, I need to talk about this. Now we're on here and it's like, I can't really necessarily form words to kind of go into my feelings about what just happened. What was your overall takeaway, Maxwell, of the ceremony itself? Not necessarily the wins, just the structure of the ceremony.
So for the first half or so, I actually thought it was a pretty smart, stripped back, minimalistic approach. I think in the pandemic year, where the reality is a good majority of people probably haven't seen the films for various reasons. You have a limited audience. You're not doing it in the normal Dolby Theater they're doing it at Union Station. I thought it went pretty well. And I thought by really focusing on the speeches, it allowed the artists the opportunity to speak for their work in a way that, like most of the Oscars you think of have all these like obnoxious comedy bits with presenters and stuff. And then the winners get like 30 seconds to speak, which can be really frustrating. So in that regard, I think it was somewhat of a smart choice, but from the in memoriam on, it was just mistake after mistake. The in memoriam was too rushed, and the song choice I thought was ill-advised at best and egregiously off key and off tone, like tone deaf at worst. And the decision to reorder the final awards, in hindsight, was terrible. Both because, not only did Anthony Hopkins beat Chadwick, which is a whole other discussion, but Anthony Hopkins wasn't there. So it's like the most anticlimactic way to possibly end it. And then on top of that, you have a film winning Best Picture, directed by a woman of color, produced by women, and it doesn't even get its moment to shine because then you have actor and actress after. So I just don't quite understand what the producers were thinking. It was a gamble that they should not have ultimately gone with, just in case. Because the producers don't know who's going to win. They can only do their best guess.
The way that they restructured it made it feel like, because of everything that had happened in the last year, maybe they broke their protocols, because every protocol has been broken in the last year, and everything that the way people follow things, and they knew who was going to win. And then they decided to structure it this way specifically to end it on the note of this maybe an emotionally cathartic scene of triumph of at the end of this long road, we're still going to remember this capper to Chadwick Boseman's legacy. And then it's like, and the winner is Anthony Hopkins. He's not here. Good night, everyone. And then they stop.
So I actually just shared my screen. This was my This is my actual reaction.
Yeah, I'll show you in just one sec. Maxwell, this was here right before you popped on. This was exactly what happened at the end there with the Oscars. So close to making contact.
It's like the ultimate form of television blue balls.
What just happened? I just hit add to stream, and then it's
because I forgot to share audio. Yeah.
All right. So why don't you click?
He's like he's like, I know anyone in this, so fuck it. I literally said that, and I have someone who was with me to prove it, and he laughed at me afterwards.
How are the top shoes?
A little salty.
You're a little salty.
I was just say that's how I feel after what just happened.
Right.
I know.
The Academy Award for actor goes to Anthony Hopkins, the father.
I was like, nope, I'm done with it. Nope, just nope.
Meant to remove you this, not you.
I'll stop staring.
Wow.
Yeah,
that was. Yeah, that's exactly. Well, I guess the difference here, John, is in that case they just handed the wrong envelope.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it was I saw stuff on Twitter, and the best way to explain it is, do not structure your show around prognostications.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why you end it with Best Picture. It's okay to have ended it with Best Picture and to still had that moment of triumph before the end of the show if it were to happen, because no one was anticipating it to end on Boseman. I don't know whose idea it was, and look, if Boseman won, and that was a big if, it would have ended incredibly, and maybe we'd all be feeling differently. But it didn't.
Fuck. Can somebody smack Gucci, please?
In situations like this, I always wonder how many voters said to themselves, everyone else is going to vote for Chadwick. It's a foregone conclusion, so I'm just going to throw my vote to Anthony Hopkins. And then so many people do that Anthony ends up winning. They almost tricked themselves to voting out who they thought was going to win.
This is why the way that they have their voting practices should also be shared, especially because when things happen with like Best Picture as well, like this whole idea of the preferential ballot system, and there are all these things that are just very questionable. And at the end of the day, the Oscars don't matter. They don't truly matter because it's a matter of it all. But what we care about is this thing that everyone, because they're all part of the industry, they're touting and showing, just boosting the profile of projects you love, and you just want to see them acknowledge the things that you love.
A year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what awards a film did or didn't win is a footnote to the legacy that the film carves out for itself, right?
My co-host.
The only reason why I do like the Oscars is it gets eyes on films that perhaps otherwise people wouldn't see. Especially with the increased ballot over the last 10 to 12 years. These small films are getting touted and recognized that general public would never hear of before, let alone see. So now if more people watch Nomadland or Minari or The Sound of Metal or Promising Young Woman or The Father, great. That's the best thing of the Oscars.
By the way, Sound of Metal winning editing.
That was one of my favorite wins of the night. I didn't see that coming, and I was really happy.
Yeah, I was when I was thinking about what would win, I had it between Nomadland and Trial of Chicago 7, because Nomadland, with Chloe Xiao being a quadruple nominee tonight,
winning 3 of them, correct?
She won 2 of them because she won director and she won picture. She didn't get editor and she didn't get screenplay, because screenplay also went to The Father. And the big thing with like that is they're starting to try to be bolder in a lot of ways with certain things that they're awarding, especially original screenplay. Very interesting. They also started off with original screenplay, which, as we've seen, except for like Green Book, in the last 10 years or whatever, they've been giving original screenplay to films that are much more, suffice to say, original, bold, different.
I've always felt original screenplay was the category where they can throw a bone to films that are a little more adventurous or unique than what they would actually give Best Picture to, which Promising Young Woman certainly fits that bill. And in terms of nominations, some of my favorite nominations over the last 10 to 15 years are original screenplay nominations, where maybe that's the only nomination it gets, and it's the Academy's way of recognizing a film that isn't typical Oscar stuff, for better or worse. And so that is fun.
Yeah. So why don't we just run through real quick, because obviously the worst thing is, Maxwell, have you seen The Father?
I have.
And what did you think of it?
It's a devastating and beautiful film, and Anthony Hopkins' performance is stunning. The profundity and nuance he brings to it is the work of a true master. And so that's the real shame is, people are just going to think of it as the year that Chadwick didn't win, and any other year Hopkins would be a deserving winner. But at a certain point, you have to read the room. And look, if I felt that Chadwick was only nominated because of what happened to him, that's a different story. But his work in Ma Rainey's is stunning. It's a bold, brash, brilliant performance. So if he were still alive, he would be a worthy winner. So the whole thing is just confusing to me.
So one thing that I could say here about The Father is, I think it's incredible. I think the film on many different levels is incredible. And I watched the movie on a Friday night, and then the next day I went to, what was it? What was it? Passover or something? One of them, with my family, and we had my grandmother, and there was brisket, so it was definitely some sort of Jewish holiday.
Are you Jewish?
My dad's Jewish.
With a name like Jeff Alterman,
cool.
You'd think.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily, but yeah. I got the nose, and
leaning into that Jonah Hill, huh?
We went there. We went into. I'm gonna kick you off this stream. Go to Blurds, and so we got. I had my grandmother and my other grandmother, my dad's stepmother, or my dad's stepmother, and then my dad's mother there. My grandfather couldn't make it, and my aunt and my mom. And so I had just seen The Father. And then I see my 92-year-old grandmother. Well, she's 92 as of yesterday. So I just saw her yesterday as well. And she has very, very serious dementia. It's very difficult. You have the same conversations 30 times in 10 minutes sometimes. And that's just kind of how it goes. So when I watched the movie, I thought, wow, this is great. This is devastating. This is heartbreaking. And then I went and I saw my grandmother the next day, and I just thought about, I just watched this movie, and the movie got everything so right in a way that it makes it even more impactful to know that if you don't know anyone with dementia or with their mind slipping away, the movie absolutely helps you know what it's like to feel like you know someone or what it's like to lose your mind this way. And I think that it is quite possibly the best performance that Anthony Hopkins has ever given. More than Hannibal Lecter, which is like almost a caricature over time. But even though he was really good in his 14 minutes of screenplay in silence.
16, I think. 16.
Okay, cool. Yeah, with deleted scenes. It's no one's ever going to really be thinking about how good he was now. They're going to think of what the fuck happened at the Oscars when they think about Anthony Hopkins and The Father.
If they had ordered it differently, it may not even have been as big of a deal.
No.
If actor and actress had happened and then picture, okay, people would have been surprised. You know, Chadwick didn't win, but Nomadland and Chloe would have been the story. And now it's overshadowed by a poor producing decision, which is a real shame.
It's you know, I feel my heart rate dropping a little bit. I'm not as like, you know, like feeling the vein popping out of the side of my head.
Oh, mine still. I can start going right now.
Because one of the worst things when I think about this now is, you know, they had this prepared and they probably had Chadwick's wife ready to go with something to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so she's probably there, like, you know, probably like sweating, like obviously very emotional over what she's about to have to do. Probably.
And then that heartbreak happens.
And then she's about to be like, all right, I'm going to get up and do this. And then suddenly it's Anthony Hopkins, good night. And then everything shuts down and she's probably sitting there like
dumb,
stunned silence.
The worst emotional blue balls ever.
Let's just say it's ever, because that was
we're all angry because of just, you know, the impact that it has on so many things. But imagine what's going through her mind, his family's mind, because there was never a guarantee Chadwick Boseman was going to win. That he was the heavy favorite, and I noticed this too, there was this late groundswell of support for Anthony Hopkins.
I have to say, I'm not shocked Anthony Hopkins won.
Right.
Like you said, over the last 2 to 3 weeks, as soon as The Father hit streaming to rent, people have been watching it, noticing it, talking about it. So the buzz for it, in particular, his performance hit at the right time. So I'm not shocked he won. I had it at basically 50-50. It was going either way. It's just, again, not to beat the dead horse, but the way that the ceremony was structured.
Yeah, it's.
I almost feel like the Oscars, or at least the producers, need to put out a statement apologizing for their errors.
Yeah.
So how about this? I don't know if you kept the television on through the credits.
No, I turned it off because I was a little miffed.
So at the end of the credits,
I've been working on trying to stay calm lately and keep my anger in check.
No.
However, had Gary Oldman won instead of Chadwick, I was prepared to go burn the Brooklyn Bridge to the ground. I had my Molotov cocktail ready.
I'm right there with you, and I live in Cleveland.
At least that didn't happen.
I would have just yeeted a Molotov over there for you.
4 out of 5 of these actors, you know, not Gary Oldman. The other 4, any one of them, any other year, it's their year, including this year. Basically, they're all
brilliant performances,
incredible, brilliant. Riz Ahmed, loved him in it. I'm so glad that it won where it won. And in many of the areas, I thought it was equally deserving of so many of these awards. But I just, it's the way that it ended. It really did. But after the credits ended, there was text on the screen with a voiceover explaining the voting process, saying that every member votes for Best Picture, but most other categories are voted on by their branches.
Right.
Which is why, and I was in PJ's Zoom call with Max before this. I even said I was shocked because most of the time it's the good track record. If you win the SAG, you win the Best Actor. It's not all the time, but a lot of the time.
But there's significant crossover with the acting branch with BAFTAs, and Hopkins just won the BAFTA.
Yep.
And then also, I know it's not as big of a deal, but last night or whatever.
Riz won
was
the
it last night or
Spirit.
2 nights ago? Yeah,
Riz won the Spirit.
Riz Ahmed won the Independent Spirit Award against Chadwick Boseman, and it looked like suddenly things weren't as sure-footed as we thought they'd be.
Yeah.
And I do want to take a second though to just kind of let's like single out some of the other wins. What had happened just to we had the Humanitarian Awards went to the MPTF, which sounds like a really great organization. I don't know much about them, but they sound great. And also to Tyler Perry for all the stuff he did. I don't see them writing anti-union in his reason why he got the Humanitarian Award, but so I saw people sharing like, yes, let's give it to him for this. And but visual effects went to Tenet, which that makes sense.
Well deserved.
I was sort of pulling for Love and Monsters because
those monsters are
imagery.
Fantastic, but I didn't think
so fun.
that.
No, of course, that was like the I'm pulling for because I think it would be great to have seen this be the win, but it definitely was Tenet's. That was Tenet's to lose. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom won for costume design. I figured that was going to win, but it was to me, I wouldn't have been surprised in the least if Emma won for that as well, because that movie is gorgeous to look at, and the costumes are a huge reason for it. Sound of Metal won Best Editing. That one as well, like obviously, like that was great, awesome. I love it when movies about drummers going through a bunch of dramatic events win Best Editing. So
it's happened more than once now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's happened more than once. Now it's crazy because when I look at this, I could easily see any one of them actually win for Best Editing. Yeah. Especially what I thought was actually going to be the spoiler, because originally, as I said, between Trial of Chicago 7, because it won the American, it won the Eddie Award, and then Nomadland just because of all the groundswell of support for Chloe Zhao. And then I thought, though, that the spoiler was actually going to be The Father, because the production design and the editing together are really are like a supporting character themselves, because they work in tandem with each other for this kind of disorienting effect that really add to this feeling of you're losing your mind alongside Anthony Hopkins. But best makeup and hairstyling, we don't have to worry about saying Academy Award winning film Hillbilly Elegy, so that's good. But we do have Ma Rainey winning there, which makes sense because that's not what Viola Davis normally looks like. But what's great was that wasn't crazy types of makeup. That was just subtle enough to make a big difference. Cinematography, I do kind of have an issue with Mank winning cinematography.
I sort of said that they were just like, oh, it's in black and white. We're going to give it the award.
I felt Judas was a far superior shot film.
I thought that it was. I actually was like, I want it to be Judas. Actually, I love the way Judas looked. I love the way it was framed and staged. And Mank feels like, for
once, this isn't me being a homer. This isn't me being a homer for once. This is just straight up.
It just looks great. From a cinematography standpoint, Mank. I know that Fincher had gone into great detail, and it looks good. The movie looks fine. It looks good, but he went into great detail about it's like, oh, I want this movie to feel like you just found this tin or whatever, and it's like an old movie straight from that time period that you're going to be watching. I want it to feel like that, and you watch it and you're like, no, this is definitely digital. This definitely looks modern, like it was made with modern cameras, and you just put a filter over it. Yeah. And it actually didn't feel like it was necessarily like gorgeous to look at in the way that other great black and white films look. Oh, wait, by the way, Mike Deacon, I'm glad that you saw Tenet on a plane as the filmmakers intended. So good for you. Oh no! You're saying you had the opportunity the way it was meant to be seen, and then you watched Step Brothers instead. That was a good choice. Those are more entertaining movies than Tenet.
Fuck off.
And also, they don't. And also, don't tell me to fuck off. This is my show.
Sorry, I'm in a bad mood. I am in a very bad mood. You ever seen the Stephen A. Smith meme? I am having a very bad day. That is me right now.
Yeah. I'll come to you for an opinion at some point when you're not ready. I wish that I could just pull up that Mad Men quote. Not now, Bob, or not great, Bob.
Great, Bob.
Not great, Bob. Here's something that bugs the hell out of me. They combine the sound categories into
Yes.
one.
That is something I have an issue with, because I know someone who worked on sound for Judas, and how talking to him about how he mixed it. He's a sound mixer. If he was told if it was split, he was most likely going to get a nomination.
Yeah,
because
it was
because it wasn't.
I think they changed it because so many people didn't take the time to understand the difference between the sound editing and sound mixing. So
No,
it was
I agree.
just like kind of a dumbing down of the Oscars.
But the people who actually pay attention to the Oscars know what the shit is, so it shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, remember,
I
they
just
were going to add
realized
a
that
best
I figured
popular
it out.
film category, so they have no idea what they're trying to do.
Let's not dig into that can of worms again, because
for what movie?
We don't want to
Chadwick Boseman movie.
Yep, that was. We don't want to nominate Black Panther for Best Picture, so we want to do this. Oh, okay. I guess we got to nominate for Best Picture.
It makes me upset. The whole
Chadwick
thing makes me very upset.
Chadwick was fucked by the Oscars his entire career. That's all I gotta say. Because I still feel like he should have been nominated for 42. So
I think he should have been nominated for Get On Up.
I agree with that.
If I had to choose,
so, honestly, they're Get On Up, 42, and Marshall. I all felt were deserving performances.
Marshall, I think Marshall was fine, but not.
I didn't say the film. I just said the performance.
No, I know. I mean, even him, like his performance. But for sound, though, I mean, look, one is the creation of the sound, and one is the actual editing of the sound.
Yep.
So it's also very weird, the idea of sound mixing and sound editing, because sound editing is the creation of the sound, and sound mixing is the editing of the sound. So they're also like weird,
confusingly named, sort of, to
Yes.
a certain point. Sure.
And in my head, I'm just like, oh man, I hope that the two Tom Hanks movies don't split the vote on them, like just jokingly. But I definitely am glad that it went to Sound of Metal. That was like, if there was a shoo-in of the night,
That was
more
it.
than Chloe Zhao, it was this. Production design, I thought that it was Manx to lose because of just the kind of sets that they had built for that, especially the mansions for William Randolph Hearst's place. But of course, as I said, I also was a huge fan of the production design of The Father and how it played such a vital role.
I mean, the apartment's a character itself.
Exactly. Oh yeah, it's like New York is a city. Is like a character.
Character in my life.
Yeah. I can never take that seriously again ever since we came together. But we'll move on. Okay, here's another one that was kind of a surprise. It was Best Original Song.
Yes, I thought
Fight for You.
My feeling going into this, it was between Fight for You and Leslie Odom Jr. song from One Night in Miami. Those were the only two that really had a chance in my eyes.
Yep.
And that was just...
didn't even know about Fight for You. I thought it was between Speak Now and Husavik, actually.
I think the song that won is a fantastic song. I didn't think it had a chance. I really thought it was going to be Leslie Odom Jr.
Because it was a double nominee.
Yeah. But yeah,
for
I
one of
mean,
those Acclaimed Films of the Year.
Her is awesome, and it's a great song, and I was happy to see it win.
Yeah. I thought that Speak Now was going to be the place in which they were going to both give an Oscar to Leslie Odom Jr. and also to show some love with a statue to One Night in Miami.
Oh, you
Sure.
know.
One Night in Miami was sort of criminally overlooked, but I also think from what I heard, they didn't get screeners out quick enough, and a lot of people didn't see it.
I don't.
But it was on the festival circuit since last spring.
Also, it doesn't even matter about the idea of screeners because, okay, sure, maybe it didn't get all the nominations because screeners weren't out in time, but it's been on Amazon since mid-January for anyone to access. But I'm guessing that has to do with the whole, when it comes to getting an award, it's about who you schmooze with and who you can convince.
Oh, it is. I could show you all the shit we got sent over award season for the BFCA. It's
Mhm.
we here. My father donates our stuff because he's like, we don't need to keep this. It's just them trying to schmooze. Don't need it.
Mhm. Yeah, no, agreed.
Well,
Best original score went to Soul. That was
that was
pretty much a
a
no-brainer.
given.
Wasn't my
I
choice,
think,
but it's a
yeah.
great score
Which one
regardless.
was your choice?
Of the
Minari?
nominees, Minari, yeah.
Yeah, Minari's gorgeous. The more I think about that movie, the more I really love
I
it.
was pretty upset Tenet didn't get nominated because I thought that score was
That
fantastic.
score is phenomenal. It should have been nominated
score
for
is
original
awesome.
song too. Just
And
saying
my
that Travis Scott song.
Travis Scott song was dope. And my favorite score of last year wasn't even shortlisted, so I don't know what happened.
What was your
there,
favorite
but
score?
Wendy.
Dude, I love
Wendy's was
The
Wendy's
movie
so
was okay, but the score is amazing.
the score is
like
what brought it to
split down
another
the middle
level
on
for
them.
me.
Yeah, I'm split down on the movie. I'm like 2.5 out of 5. Like I just saw it a few weeks ago for the first time. I'm split on the film, but the score, gorgeous.
Phenomenal.
I've listened to
Gorgeous
that
score.
probably more than any other score from last year, especially the track "Straight On Till Morning." Man, it's
Yeah.
good.
By
And
the
remember,
way,
the Beast of the Southern Wild score wasn't nominated either, and that score is to me one of the best of the last 15 years. So
by the way,
Um,
you want to know how Netflix tries to win people over? For their scripts, they send this shit as a leather-bound book. Like, it is full-on leather-bound, page by page. This is one of my favorite scripts because it even has the art for each chapter, like in the film.
That's awesome. It's funny because I was following someone during award season. I forgot who it was, and I was looking at their story, and they just had all of these like award screeners that they had been sent, and he's just like, "Look at this stack of award screeners. They're all accessible on the streaming services." Just, and that's why it drives me crazy. Like that's so much extra waste too.
well,
But,
every film
but-
this year theoretically was available on some streaming service or rentable
Very true. Very true. Very
this
true.
year. So at worst, like if let's say it was a $19.99 rental, they could have just sent the voters a download code.
To be fair, though,
now I just you finish your thought here, and then I got some Streamlabs actually to read.
To be
Money.
fair, though, I know we received a lot of the screeners like a month or so before half these things were on streaming. Just in my case, like I had One Night in Miami a full month before it was even on Amazon.
Yeah,
I had a couple screeners early. Like I had Promising Young Woman months, like a couple months before it came out. So yeah,
right.
I mean,
so
it is what it is.
We have a couple Streamlabs here, by the way, guys. Thank you so much. By the way, we do have a Streamlabs link for however much longer we're here. I have it pinned in the chat. There's streamlabs.com/showmethemoney. If you have any comments or questions or anything, just get those in. Here we have thank you, Buck. We have a $20 donation. Thank you so much, Mike K. Tonight's Oscar ceremony ended the same way one misses the last note playing a song in Guitar Hero. How did they fuck up this badly? Oh man, that's so funny. I've done that. Have you ever done that before where you're playing it and you miss the final one?
Yeah, you're so excited that you're going perfect, and then you're like, yep, been there.
Worst. It's one of the worst feelings ever. It's one of the worst things that's ever happened to anyone on any level ever. Nothing else can be comparable. Nothing at all. Oh, $10, not 20. Thank you, Buck, for the typo. John Getz here with a $30 donation. So how about binge all of Demon Slayer on Netflix or Hulu, then watch the movie in theaters before it's gone? Because my God, it's amazing. Please watch it more and more and more. I'm going at least 2 more times. Go do it now.
I'll pass.
You, John. I do plan on checking out Demon Slayer. I don't know if I'll get to the theater to see it, but I do plan on checking it out. I don't know if you watch anime at all, Maxwell. It seems to be like a thing that people either do or don't do.
I used to watch it a lot in high school, and I pretty much haven't for the last decade at least.
Yeah.
There's always been a couple of shows I've wanted to go watch. Like I keep hearing great things about Attack on Titan and stuff, but there's only a finite amount of time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
It's not a priority for me.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm the pleb who only watches DB's Dragon Ball. So.
Yeah. You seem like a guy who's a fan of Evolution. So
no,
we're
not
gonna...
that.
What? You don't like a little Justin Chatwin as your Goku?
Who?
The
No.
guy who
No,
Oh, that movie was.
the only thing I liked about that movie was seeing Emmy Rossum. That was it.
I remember going to see that movie in theaters just because I like James Marsters from Buffy, and that's still one of the worst movies I've seen.
So funny story about that. I was at a con with a buddy, and James Marsters was there, and he fucking hates that movie. So while we were standing by his booth, and he knew we were within earshot, he talked about, if I ever meet the guy who played fucking Piccolo in that Dragon Ball Evolution movie, I'm gonna kick his fucking ass, this, that, and the other. And you just see the guy turn his head and then move behind the curtain.
Oops. He's like, no, not me. I'm sorry.
So, just real quick, just gonna just mention these real quick, just because I don't have any real thoughts on them because I haven't checked any of them out. Best animated short film went to If Anything Happens, I Love You, which I think is like a 12-minute thing on Netflix.
Normally, I would have gone to like the showcases they have at the independent theaters to see all the shorts, but I've been more selective. I mean, they had them, but I'm trying to only really go to the movies once a week while things are still
right.
I am fully vaxxed, but I just haven't. That wasn't a priority.
Of course.
I'd like to see him at some point.
Yeah, and then best live action film went to Two Distant Strangers, which is another Netflix film starring Joey Badass of Mr. Robot fame. Yeah. So, Matt, did you have any thoughts or?
I didn't see him, so I got nothing.
Now, us not having thoughts on any of these shorts isn't necessarily like a ding against shorts. It's just
great. It's just
a lot of us we deal with stuff involving trivia, and the trivia stuff has to do with full feature length things. Best documentary short subject went to Colette. I don't know what these shorts are. I just was like, oh, Colette will win because there was a movie a couple years ago called Colette with Keira Knightley, and this is a totally separate movie, not even remotely the same thing. Best documentary feature went to My Octopus Teacher, which everything I hear about it like lately is some people loved it, but also like it's kind of weird. I don't really have any thoughts on it. I think that Time should have won out of these five. It's also the only one that I've seen, but it's heartbreaking and incredible and one of the most emotional endings to a film, even though it's a documentary that I had seen in the last year. I also am very disappointed that Dick Johnson, Dick Johnson is dead. That was one that actually like made it into my top 10 of the year, and I was very disappointed to see that was overlooked. So yeah, do you have any thoughts on documentaries?
Once again,
My Octopus Teacher is perfectly fine. Time was far superior, but the documentary branch to me is one of the worst branches. They almost always like don't even nominate the front runners.
You mean like a couple years ago with the Mr. Rogers?
Exactly.
Which
and I find that they then also within the nominees tend to go for the more easily palatable, uplifting things instead of because like I remember 20 Feet from Stardom won and stuff that are not bad movies, but this is very similar where
is the same guy who made Won't You Be My Neighbor as well, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe they're both.
So it's a perfectly enjoyable nature movie with a slightly odd bent to it. I think some of the talk about it being about a guy who wants to sleep with an octopus is really simplifying the film, but compared to Time, it just doesn't.
I mean, when it comes to a guy who wants to sleep with something from the sea, there's an insane 15-minute YouTube video about a man who's a dolphin lover. It's incredible and also very unsettling to watch. And you wouldn't be surprised to realize he's from Florida. So if we move on to international feature, another round, I wasn't surprised that another round won. That was the one that I thought was
the only one I
saw.
there. So,
and another round has the single best needle drop in like maybe the last couple years, I think, with the final scene, which might have also been my favorite ending to a movie, from all of 2021.
Yeah, another round
yeah.
is incredible. I had wished they had found room for Mads in Best Actor.
Same.
Although I'm
Instead
not
of
sure
Gary Oldman.
who I would have taken out. Yeah, instead of Gary. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Gary. But here's the thing: if you remove Gary Oldman, I heard recently it's Moss Mikkelsen actually.
Yes, it is Moss.
I'm still gonna call him Mads, but that's okay.
Yeah. Us Americans are gonna say Mads, and so Mikkelsen or Lindo to take that 5th spot.
Lindo.
Yes.
Yeah,
Lindo
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah, Lindo. But that's what I was gonna say. If you remove Oldman, it's like, would you put Mikkelsen or Lindo? So yeah, that was. I would have loved to have seen him there as well because that was a career achievement for him. I heard Collective is great, and of course it was nominated twice as well. But another round was the one that had the sneaky Best Director nomination. So that was of course going to be the one to get the feature.
Right. And I do like that there's
feature.
been more of a tendency over the past few years for the directors branch to think of the international filmmakers.
Yeah, which is just the last year's Oscars had both Pavel Pavlovsky. I wish that I knew how to pronounce the name for Cold War, and I'm looking back here. Let me just click it here to see how I'll read it off. Oh no, it was 2 years ago, not last year. 2 years ago, Pavel Palakowski. Okay, I was right. Yeah,
who also directed the really great film Ida.
Yeah, I got to see Ida still. And
It's
then
beautiful.
Last year,
see, those are both films
was,
that use black and white cinematography that actually look gorgeous.
Right. And there's times when black and white can look incredible. I mean, I think that even though it's a pretty like laid back movie, I think Nebraska looks gorgeous.
Oh yeah, stunning. Good Night and Good Luck. The Lighthouse is black and white cinematography was
one of
amazing.
the most gorgeous looking films I think in the last like 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's in black and white. So yeah, I mean that was that I really like that there are more international directors in there as well. Animated feature, it was going to be Soul. I was actually kind of pulling, and I know my wife was as well, and some other people were pulling for Wolfwalkers.
Me too.
As like a sneaky, because like Soul's really good, but Wolfwalkers kind of hits different.
My desire for Wolfwalkers to win was not at all an insult or a diss on Soul, which I think is great. Wolfwalkers is just a really special film, and I'm as far as animation concerns, like my primary goal is to encourage a resurgence of hand-drawn stuff.
Yep.
And the hand-drawn animation in Wolfwalkers is stunning. And it's a beautiful story, great characters. So
Jeff Snyder for once tweeted something I can agree with. If they can release the Snyder Cut, they can release the Oscar voting totals, right?
Yep. I'm gonna go retweet that right now. Right? I mean, seriously, why not? Right? Get it trending, guys.
I agree with the sentiment, but yeah.
No, understandable, Max. Understandable.
No, I get it. The other nominees there, a Shaun the Sheep movie from again. I really, really like the first Shaun the Sheep movie.
This one was fine.
This one was fine. It's cute. It's funny. I've already forgotten half of it since I watched it like 2 months ago. Over the Moon is even
which
less
is good.
Fine.
I liked it.
It's the one that I'm the most down the middle on.
Sure.
Like there's some nice animation, but stuff also is very weird in it, and not all the songs click. It felt like a very mixed bag to me. With some wonderful cultural stuff in there, but overall, I think as a whole product, it didn't hit. Onward was a really solid effort from Pixar that
underrated film.
And I think it had a really great emotional end that was actually a twist on what you'd expect the emotional ending to be.
Yeah, I think Onward's very, very good, and because there was another Pixar movie that was more beloved, it got overlooked, but I think Onward's great. I sobbed. Yeah. I cried more. I think Soul was more existentially fulfilling, but Onward made me cry more outwardly because of the brother stuff, which hit hard, and the father-son stuff, like that sort of stuff. It's kind of like Brian's song almost in its own way.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of father-son stuff, Florian Zeller, after making The Father, his next movie is The Son.
The Son.
So
But Max, I gotta agree with you there, because ultimately that's what happened to me. I'm the older brother, and Onward hit me way harder than Soul did. I didn't like Soul all too much. I'm probably one of the few people who didn't. I know people are like, well, you still get to see the life of someone living as a black man. I'm like, I don't care. The actual black person is in the body of a fucking cat most of the time.
Sure. Yeah. I totally get that criticism.
All that's
I think it's valid.
Totally super valid. They're good points. I mean, I love Soul. I think that Wolfwalkers hit harder. I think that it's funny when you say, like, I think Soul is more existentially fulfilling. The last year has been a lot of existential dread. So maybe existentialism is exactly what we needed a dose of. But especially when it came down to things like appreciating the little things in a time in which all some people had for a bit were the little things. So there are plenty of ways where it reverberated, but there's more universal themes as well in Onward that hit hard. And I think that when I watch it again, because this year I'm planning on going through all the Pixar films again, I expect to like it more the second time than the first time that I saw
will
it.
say that for reasons, I also intend to make rewatching the Pixar oeuvre a priority in the coming weeks.
Yeah,
I know those reasons.
It is definitely a priority and something I would, given the choice. Well, I don't want to give away my hand, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can tell you this: I'm probably not rating them.
So here's where we'll keep going. Adapted screenplay. It went to The Father, which I thought was a pretty strong competitor against Nomadland, simply because because of the more improvisational nature of Nomadland. The Father felt very much so like a really successful adaptation for a screenplay.
I love Nomadland, and I think its writing is beautiful in its simplicity, but The Father's screenplay is more like overtly impressive. Like if you have the screenplays in front of you and you're reading them, The Father is going to read better. So I think that's a perfectly worthy choice to win that award. And it's unique when a playwright gets to then adapt his own play into a screenplay.
Yeah.
I actually love
it for One Night in Miami and got
exactly. Like, I think it's a fascinating intellectual experiment to, if you are lucky enough to have a copy of both the play and the screenplay, read them back to back, especially if it's written by the same person, and see the choices, the active choices they make to
change it,
alter the story to fit the new medium that it's in. Because making a play a film is so hard.
What's interesting is Florian Zeller wrote the play on his own. And then it was translated into English by Christopher Hampton. Mm-hmm. And they're both the credited screenwriters of The Father. So I'm wondering if they collaborated on how to bring it to, to format into an English story. But yeah, it's a gorgeous screenplay. I'm totally fine. I'm happy that it actually won. I think that it's totally deserving. One Night in Miami is another incredible adapted screenplay. Both The Father and One Night in Miami are excellent examples of taking something that's for the stage and making them feel like they work as a screenplay and not just a stage play. Something that I think that actually was one of my negative feelings about Ma Rainey. Was how it felt much more like
a stage play than a screenplay.
A stage play than it was a screenplay. I mean, it's the movie overall still worked, but it didn't feel as cinematically appropriate as One Night in Miami and The Father do.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the performances are still great, but maybe it's something with me and August Wilson, who I'm not totally familiar with, but I had the exact same feeling
when I watched Fence. As long as Denzel Washington's alive, trust me.
Oh,
Um,
he's gonna make all of his
Yeah,
plays.
I'm fine with.
he's
I'm
trying to
fine with
make
that.
all of them before he dies.
See, I
so-
thought
I'm
I
fine
thought
with that.
Fences
They're
did a
great.
better job of justifying itself as a film, and I liked
Yes.
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and I think
Yeah.
it's partly just the limitations of the setting of the play.
Precisely.
I mean, 90% of it you have a handful of characters in one of two rooms.
Yep.
Of course.
There's only so much you
And-
can do there to make it
Yeah.
cinematic.
Meanwhile, the father is in one setting, but the beauty of it is how the setting itself is also constantly shifting as well, even though it is still one setting, which is it's incredible. That sort of work is incredible, and you can't really deny
Right.
the craft there. One Night in Miami worked really well, where it was 2/3 of it were, or over 2/3 of it were in one setting, and it worked really well as well. The White Tiger it's a little messy, but overall it's still a really strong
Maybe the
film.
biggest surprise nomination for me of the night. Like
Leading up to
when
the
that happened, I was
Oscars,
like,
had heard it. Yeah, leading up to it, the night before the Oscar nominations were going to be announced, I was like, you know what? I've heard a lot that this is probably going to pop up for adapted screenplay, so I decided to watch it the night before, and I'm like, it's very interesting. Have you seen The White Tiger?
I watched it on Netflix. Yeah,
it's good.
I liked it. Yeah, I just didn't see much campaigning for it, and I don't know.
No.
It wasn't on my radar for Oscars at the beginning.
Because Netflix does a shitty job at promoting their award winner. Yeah, they do a shitty job at promoting everything.
They put
their
all their strength behind specific things.
Yeah, and right now, this award season, they were pushing Chadwick. That was the focus. Push Chadwick. Everything else got the shaft.
What I thought was funny in the Oscars, by the way, one of the things they did was they really focused on giving like lauding over each nominee before they would announce the winner, talking about how incredible they were.
Which I liked. It reminded me of, I guess, the 2009 Oscars for films in 2008. For the acting categories, they would have 5 other actors come out and say why they loved that performance, which was, I thought, an amazing way to do it. I understand why they didn't do that exactly this year, because they wanted as limited number of people in attendance as possible. But as much as I missed clips from the performances, I liked hearing the presenters speak specifically about why each performance was special.
Yeah, and so what I thought was funny about that was when it came to the screenplays, they had this was Regina King, and she did original screenplay first, and she lauded over all of them. Adapted the screenplay, she went through and she talked about how incredible they each were. She went off script just to talk about how much she loves Kent Powers, and then when it came to Borat, she just spent the whole time just reading who was credited for it, because that's the amount of time it takes to compliment the film was the time it took just to read the list of names on that. So I thought that was kind of funny for that nomination. But it didn't win. It went to the father. But original screenplay, Promising Young Woman. We talked about this briefly. It's super deserving. It's the exact kind of movie.
Yeah, that was the exact type of movie that should have won that award. I think Emerald Fennell's screenplay is terrific. I know some people take issue with the ending. I love it, and I'll also say, I will say, as a survivor of sexual assault myself, which is only something I've more recently been comfortable talking about, I found the movie triggering in a way that was cathartic for me.
So
that's good.
So
I agree with everything you guys said. My biggest issue was the predictability of the script, because it seemed like there was only I do love the movie. I bought it. I really enjoyed it. I just found it fairly predictable. Like it seemed like that was the only way it could go.
It's funny because I'm fine when things are predictable as long as the payoff still feels earned. And in this case, I was fine with it because everything felt like it was predictable because it felt inevitable to me.
Fair.
I can see that argument. For me, it was more so for something that's supposed to be titled as it's part of its genre is a thriller. So when it's a thriller, I don't want to have it be predictable. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I didn't see the climax coming. necessarily.
I didn't see it coming. But it felt inevitable when it did happen.
Precisely.
The only
which
other
was
thing I'll
good.
say about original screenplay, which is not really relevant to today because we're talking about the actual ceremony, but I'm still miffed Palm Springs didn't get nominated.
Same,
They weren't
100%
gonna
same.
nominate that.
I
Should have
thought
been in there.
that
instead of
was the
Trial.
category where it could have gotten in and gotten appreciated as a non-Oscar film because I thought that writing was so smart.
That should have been the Big Sick movie.
100%, exactly.
That should have been that one.
So Jesse
and-
Swift says, summarize in 30 seconds because I have no idea what happened tonight, but apparently everybody's pissed
All right,
about
it's my
something.
time to
Okay,
shine. Oh, okay.
go ahead,
So,
Matt. Take it.
So let's be honest. If you've watched Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, there's one scene in there that speaks out highly above the most, especially knowing. Take the fucking timer off right now because I'm going off. I've been waiting for this moment. This is going to be more than 30 seconds because I am severely fucking pissed. There's
all right.
there's
You can
one
finish
moment,
explaining why you're angry. All right, go.
there's one moment in this film that, knowing what we know now, speaks really highly and is the one moment where I'm like, he needs to win the Oscar. It's when he's talking about his relationship with God and questioning why would God do this. When I saw that, I didn't even think he was acting at that point. I felt like those were words he was saying himself, knowing that he's got cancer. Let's be honest, he was looking like the next great actor. That's what he was. And to know that his days may be numbered on this earth, and speaking that scene, it's not the easiest thing to do. And it's why I was so pissed. I'm not mad that Hopkins won. He did great in the Father, but at the end of the day, you got to give a man his respect. And I'll just keep it at that because I'm
Yeah, I could hear your voice cracking in there. I got you there. So we'll move on there to real quick. Best Supporting Actor. That was Daniel Kaluuya. That felt inevitable. I'm happy that Lakeith Stanfield's
Inevitable
Oscar,
in the best way because Kaluuya's work in that film is revelatory and incendiary and iconic and
Incredible.
That was a type of performance where you watch it and you're just like, this guy. I'm so happy he won.
I'm so happy
great
too.
Great performance. Still confused why
Great
Lakeith
speech.
his speech was. I mean, I thought actually because they were given the time, the speeches this year were pretty excellent across the board.
Yeah. Vinterberg was incredible.
And Daniel is funny. Every time he talks, because in every movie he has a different accent, I'm like, for some reason, even though he's not in it, my mind goes right to Attack the Block, because to me, he just sounds like those characters. I expect him to be like, hey, let's go back and play FIFA in the flat.
Mm-hmm. It's Daniel Kaluuya, absolutely deserving, just for the moment in his story in which he said, Partis here in the chat. Yes, exactly. I'm thankful that my mom and dad had sex. I'm happy my parents had sex. I'm happy that I'm alive. It was a very funny moment, but also like he's using a joke to be like, I'm just happy that I'm here. I'm happy that I get to experience this. And he was just very funny and charming in his speech too. He's awesome. And I can't wait to see more. I love the interplay when Lil Rel was doing his really weird bit of like having people identify if a song was nominated or won or whatever. And he just went up to Daniel Kaluuya and they just started talking about how they work together and Get Out. Yeah. And he's like, and what'd you learn? It's like, I learned I'm never going to be with a woman like that again. And that was very funny. The other actors that were nominated, like I'm very glad, like Lakeith Stanfield, happy he was nominated. That was egregious category fraud. That was,
but it's not his fault. They submitted him in lead, and
yeah, it's the Academy voters switched him to supporting because they felt he and Daniel are on even ground, which I disagree with completely. That is completely a lead role.
And on top of that, like technically, if you want to make that argument, Kaluuya was, he was definitely the supporting character, but also you can make an argument he's secondary lead. So if they're on even ground, they're both lead actors, if anything. And
I have less of an issue with Kaluuya being in supporting than Lakeith because the film
was
is
ultimately not his
through
story.
Lakeith's eyes. Like he is the entry point.
Yeah.
So
it's the reason why I get bugged about things like how Cate Blanchett for Carol was in lead and Rooney Mara was supporting, but it's definitely Therese's story. It's not Carol's story. Don't just do category fraud like that because the name of the movie is Carol, because it's the object of Therese's affections, not about the actual object. But that's kind of going off in a whole other issue with the Oscars, of which people have many. Sacha Baron Cohen, he was good in Charlie Chicago 7, but he was never going to win. Leslie Odom Jr., like we said, we thought he was fine. I actually would have preferred it to be Kingsley Ben-Adir as Malcolm X or even Eli Gorey as Cassius Clay. But those are my personal feelings on those performances. They all were great. Paul Raci, Sound of Metal, I was so happy he was nominated.
So happy. So
happy. And I'm so glad that when they did the full clips for Best Picture, that they showed the clip of like why Paul Raci
the scene.
nominated.
Yep.
The scene. So, yeah. Not really much more to say in that category. Kaluuya won, deserving. Everyone agreed.
As far as trial is considered, I would have preferred either Mark Rylance or I thought the stealth MVP of the movie was Yahya Abdul-Mateen II.
Absolutely, he was awesome. He was great.
I felt Sacha Baron Cohen, and this might just be because of what I'm used to him seeing, was playing a character, not a human.
Yeah. He was definitely more of a character in that one. And I
But
definitely think Yahya was better. I actually wasn't a big fan of Mark Rylance in it. Personally.
Fair.
Yeah. Best Supporting Actress. I was pulling for Maria Bakalova because the things that she had to do, I thought that she was wonderful. But at the end of the day, I'm over the moon that Yoon Yoo-jung won.
I'm still delighted that Maria got nominated because that is not the type of performance the Oscars normally go to.
Not at all. That is like eight.
But,
that is like take Melissa McCarthy and Bridesmaid and multiply it.
Yeah, but Young was my choice by a significant margin. I thought her speech was delightful.
Wonderful.
It's the type of performance and the type of film that even just a few years ago would not have gotten Academy recognition, let alone a win. So
I want to see Yoon Yoo-jung like work with Brad Pitt now because we know that she wants to be friends with him.
I saw a tweet that was basically, I'm paraphrasing poorly, that was like, Young Yeo's about to have herself a night. She just won an Oscar, and now she's gonna go tap Brad Pitt's ass backstage. Get it, girl. It's like, there you go.
One of the other things that I loved about her speech was when she's like, all of us here that were nominated, like we already won because we're here, but this is about luck, and I'm the luckiest one of us. So she's like, it's all about luck. And then she immediately after she says, this is about luck, she's like, and to my sons, this is because I worked really hard. And I'm like, all right, Yun, is it because you worked hard or is it luck? I need you to pick a lane. Why did you win tonight? Just a funny thought. Like, obviously it was a cute speech. But she was absolutely deserving. She was wonderful. And endearing, and she definitely, one thing that really helped was she was great on the award circuit. She was like Bong Joon-ho level good on the award circuit, I think. So Yoon-hai,
it's just hard not to root for her. She's so charming.
Mm-hmm. Matt, did you see Minari? What'd you think of this?
No, so around the time where we started getting a clear picture of what was going to be an award season, was around the time that I had a lot of screeners that I had to do reviews for. So I haven't gotten, like, the only ones I've really seen are Promising Young Woman, Judas and the Black Messiah, Nomadland, One Time in Miami, Soul, of course. So it was between school and all the stuff I have to do for my reviews. I didn't get a chance to watch Minari. I wanted to. So
yeah,
it's beautiful.
I hope you get to see it soon. It's wonderful. Minari it's a reminder to me of. I noticed A24 hasn't really done any work with Criterion at all, and I feel like Minari is the kind of movie that in the future Criterion could make a deal to release. Like
Uncut Gems isn't?
Uncut Gems should absolutely be Criterion. Uncut Gems is.
I was just about to say. I'm pretty sure there's a couple other films I put in.
Yeah, I think Criterion is like, wait, you're saying that we can release a film that's just a 2-hour panic attack? I'm down. They release Salo. They'll release anything.
Could you imagine what the case for that would be too?
I bet they would do something like a close up of like the Furby face or something like that. They would do something crazy.
I thought my thinking is they'd try to do something cool with the actual opal.
Maybe. I mean,
Sound of Metal is coming to Criterion though.
Sound of Metal is, yeah, but that's
One Night in Miami also,
and One Night in Miami, yeah.
Yeah, I will be buying
One Night in
that.
Miami. Of course, Criterion is like the reason why I own a couple of streaming films from Netflix. Like I own Irishman, I own Marriage Story, I own Roma.
Wait, why would you want to own 2 out of those 3 films?
Because I think they're all beautiful, gorgeous, and I love them. I get it. It's fine. Matt, you're allowed to have bad takes. But we're going to move on now to Best Actress.
Wait.
No.
The Irishman being good at an actual good take? It was like a half hour too long.
Yes, it is a good movie. Best Actress went to not Viola Davis or Carey Mulligan. It went to Frances McDormand. I was Maxwell. How do you feel about that? Were you surprised? Who were you pulling for versus who did you think might get it to?
I was pulling for Carey Mulligan, no question. She was my choice. I thought her performance was brilliant. This was a category of 5 great performances. There was no bad performance. There was no wrong choice. And Frances winning a 3rd lead actress Oscar puts her in rarefied air. This is Katharine Hepburn territory. This is GOAT territory.
This is Daniel Day-Lewis territory.
Which, look, if it's going to be anyone, let it be Frances McDormand, because I do think she is one of our greatest living actresses and maybe in the conversation for one of the best of all time.
Yep.
And people are always like, and to compare her work in Fargo and Nomadland, like radically different performances. She is not just doing the same thing over and over again.
And 3 Billboards, everything is so different.
Yeah.
They're all so different.
What I do love about her work in Nomadland and why I'm sort of happy she did win is it's very subtle, nuanced work. It's not showy. There's not like huge screaming and crying scenes. It's more internalized, which is not necessarily the type of performance the Oscars always go to. Like compared to Viola Davis in Ma Rainey's, which was a much bigger performance. I sort of thought Viola was going to end up winning. I thought the Carey train had sailed. I thought the tide was leaning towards Viola, but I think Frances really just rode the Nomadland wave in a category where there was no clear frontrunner. I think probably she just got enough extra votes because people were voting for that film for picture and director.
So for me, it was between I was fine with either Carey Mulligan winning or Viola Davis, because Carey Mulligan's performance in Promising Young Woman was just fantastic. I will never take anything away from that performance except the fact that it was just I love Carey Mulligan, and it just reminded me why, especially because we don't see her as much.
Say Best Actress. I wanted to get a new case that said winner of Best Actress.
I wanted a 4K copy that says Best Actress.
Yeah, I also want this in 4K because I bet that the colors would pop and it would be incredible.
So
also,
I'd love this in 4K. This is what I have right now because I'm waiting for my first.
And again, I'd also love this in 4K, but we don't always get what we want.
But Viola Davis was phenomenal as Ma Rainey, and those 2 performances were dead even with me. I couldn't decide between one or the other. Like, that's where I was. So either way, I was happy. And you can't always get what you want.
Nope.
Clearly, the Academy showed that tonight.
Of course. It's funny because now, statistically speaking, if Frances McDormand is going to be nominated for an Academy Award, she's going to win because she has had 7 nominations over her career. I believe 1, 2, 3, 4.
And she won 2 tonight because she was also a producer on Nomadland.
Yes, that's why I was saying 7, and she's won 4 because she was nominated in Mississippi Burning. She didn't get it. She was nominated for Almost Famous in North Country. Didn't get it. What this means is, statistically speaking, if she's going to be nominated for Best Actress, she's going to win. If she gets nominated for Supporting Actress, she'll probably lose.
Yep.
I wonder what category she'll be in for Macbeth.
Ooh, interesting. And also, I'm just interested about that in general because this is a Joel Coen film without Ethan Coen being an uncredited director. So I'm very interested to see how that movie works, where it's only a single Coen. Just same thing. Like I'm very interested to see what The Matrix 4 later this year looks with only a single Wachowski. When like seeing people kind of separate. Yeah, Frances McDormand, she's now done something that even Meryl Streep hasn't done, which is 3 lead actress Oscars. Meryl Streep has 2 lead actress and 1 supporting actress. But the one who it's funny because, it was always between Carrie, Viola, and Frances for me. Andra and Vanessa were really, really great performances in movies that didn't deserve them. That's what I felt. Lee Daniels is not necessarily a stellar filmmaker.
I would have preferred Rosamund Pike to be nominated over Vanessa Kirby.
100%, 150%. She's great. She made you feel like her performance in Gone Girl was like, I don't know, a primer for what was to come.
Her performance. What is it? I Care a Lot. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I care a lot.
I cared for that movie a lot.
Blew me away. And what's so great about it is here's a character who is horrible, just an awful, awful person, and yet somehow Rosamund still lets the audience kind of like her, which is a very difficult line to walk.
Incredibly hard.
And Vanessa Kirby was good in Pieces of a Woman, but I don't know. It is what it is.
And
just funny that the 2 Golden Globe winners, one wasn't nominated and then one didn't win.
Yeah, because Golden Globes mean fucking nothing.
Well, sure.
So fun fact.
It helps people kind of pay attention, but that's about it.
If McDormand's film, if she's the lead actress and it's nominated for Best Picture, she's won every single time.
Wow.
Yeah, which is all 3 times.
Yep.
That's amazing.
She's been nominated because she's been nominated 6 times for performance.
Yep.
The 3 times she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress, she lost. All 3 times she was lead actress or for films nominated for Best Picture, and she won. I think that what probably happened was when it came to actress, there was enough of a groundswell support for Carey Mulligan and also for Viola Davis that potentially, which is funny because normally, like, you think about people from the same movie or the same demographic somehow helping split the vote. I think that their support is what split the vote and allowed Frances McDormand to come ahead. Like, there's that potential too, because it felt like the Frances McDormand Actress Award kind of stalled because of these other awards that people really wanted to take note of, and she just kind of was a surprise win, even though it also felt inevitable at the same time. Something else inevitable was Best Director. What's up?
The Hollywood Reporter putting out clickbait articles reporting that Nomadland is the lowest grossing Best Picture winner in decades.
The movies that won awards are the lowest.
I wonder why that would be
precisely.
The only movie out of any of these that's not the lowest grossing probably in their category ever is Tenet, because Ex Machina once won in that category. And like, that's it. Otherwise, yeah, there's a fucking pandemic. That is absolutely clickbait.
Like that's why, like, I saw this. I saw it because of PJ, because he tweeted and a picture of Frances McDormand just doing the blinking eyes, like, what the fuck is. But yeah. Thank you, Hollywood Reporter, for putting out the dumbest story of the decade.
Oh my god. But the other inevitable thing was Chloe Xiao for Best Director.
Yes.
I mean, everyone knew that was going to happen. I obviously, one of the best things that happened with this category was that Aaron Sorkin didn't get nominated, which was the big indicator that Trial probably wasn't going to do as well as it might have done, and ended up walking away empty-handed. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Trial of Chicago 7 is the only film that didn't get an Oscar tonight that was nominated for Best Picture.
You're correct.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
Hey.
which I'm fine with.
Yeah. I didn't think it deserved to be there anyway. So
Yeah, that was my number 7 out of 8 in the rankings of Best Picture. 8 being Mank.
yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So
I would have swapped out Fincher too because I think that Spike Lee should have been in there. But
Spike Lee or Shaka King.
both of
Shaka
them.
King. Yeah.
Shaka King was an incredible debut.
Yes. By the way, 2 Transformers actors, 1 acting. Oscars tonight. Yeah.
Ooh,
It's true.
that hurts.
That's Francis McDormand and Anthony Hopkins.
You know what? This is true. Like when this here,
Yes.
Eternals. I'm so intrigued.
I sort of expect them to release a trailer very soon, so now they could say from the Oscar-winning filmmaker of Nomadland.
Right, but did you hear the rumor? Did you hear people were like trying to come up with this was before people realized that what they were doing with actor and actress, and it was just oh my god, the actor was so, and it ended up being like there were people like, oh, they're probably getting this out of the way now because they know it's her, so then they can release a new trailer that'll say from the Academy Award winner. So, Sabrina, let me know if you want to hop on for a second. I'm gonna send this to you on Twitter. If you can't, oh well, I got you. But I just shot you the StreamYard link. I thought that was gonna happen. It didn't happen, so it felt like another thing of like something that might happen, and then they whiffed on it. But that's what tonight was a series of setting stuff up and then
swinging misses,
whiffing. So, yeah, I mean, we got to talk Best Picture because that happened before Best Actor. And
huge mistake, the order. I'm still mad at the order.
I literally I sat there. I'm like, oh, this just confirms Chadwick wins, right? Because that's the only thing that makes sense.
That's what I thought too.
I don't know if you follow his next Best Picture. Matt Neglia.
I know him.
I follow him, and I saw he was pissed when they did that because he was saying like,
John,
that's right, John. That's right, John.
I saw your tweets, John, and I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that all right, yeah, Sabrina unable tonight, but maybe next time that there's a big controversy at the Oscars. The big thing with Best Picture there, and then the actors, Neglia pointed out, like, and he's not the only one, people saying, like, well, I mean, what if Boseman doesn't win?
Not only does it end up being a huge mistake because Boseman didn't win, but you also have a film, Nomadland, which I love, that is directed by a woman of color, and now it gets overshadowed by this fucking snafu. Like having just... And for my personal top 20 or top 10 of 2020, I didn't consider the expanded Oscar eligibility. So stuff like Minari, Judas and the Black Messiah, One Night in Miami, which I saw in 2021, I'm considering for 2021. So Nomadland was my favorite movie of 2020. So I'm thrilled it won Best Picture. It was my choice. Call me a, whatever. It's a rare time where the Academy and I agree on, but it should have been last so it get its proper due.
I agree.
And putting Best Director where they put it, only the second time ever a woman has won Best Director and a woman of color, and the award is just thrown haphazardly in the middle of the telecast.
Okay, so
it's hard not to view it as unconscious bias.
Agreed.
It pissed me off.
I think that. So to me, because there were virtual screenings, and limited theater usages for stuff like Minari and then Nomadland and whatnot. So to me, only The Father and Judas and the Black Messiah were 2021 films. So like at the end of it, because like it was in like November, early December when they had the quote unquote virtual cinema for the public. So I count those because of COVID as being the limited.
It's one of those things where everyone can go with what they feel is.
Of course, like the rankings are arbitrary anyway. So
totally.
I mean, like for me, at the end of the year, at the end of this year, 2021, I'm going to be ranking The Father and Judas and the Black Messiah for I believe for 2021. But that's like it. I think that they were all deserving except for Mank and Trial, really. I mean, Trial I kind of get more than Mank, why it was in there.
Trial is a very Oscar. Both of them really are very Oscar movies. Mank, you have a movie about making movies, and Trial is a middle of the road, quote unquote, uplifting movie that makes race relations palatable for white people. So, all things the Oscars love.
Yeah. Maxwell said that. I didn't say it, but I have said it. I said it earlier, and I also agree with that statement. So, that's it's. And I want to know whether or not I'm supposed to be mad at Steven Soderbergh for this.
How many people do you think got fired? I'm just curious. How many people do you think got fired after tonight?
I don't know. I wonder if it's the same amount of people that got fired back when they recorded Ted for the Sound Oscars, and then there was a tie. Remember when that happened? They had it. It was supposed to be like they had a recording for each individual one, but then Zero Dark 30 and Skyfall tied for that award.
I remember
so they
that.
just had the image of Ted just frozen on stage, and Wahlberg's just like, I don't know what to tell you guys. It's a tie. It's also next year, I believe, is where they're officially locking in the full 10 nominees,
yes.
not just
which I like. I don't like I
hated the sliding scale.
Yeah.
I hated the sliding scale. Just fucking do 10.
You have 10, do 10.
What is it? Second or third year now without a host?
Yeah, we need a host again. I'm sorry.
We need a host.
This year didn't work with it.
Especially this year where so many of the movies were unseen. If you had like a superstar, like I would have, if I had the reins of the Oscars, I would have asked The Rock to host because he's charming. And no, I don't think he would. It's a thankless job because you get criticized if you're great, you get criticized if you're bad. Imagine Tom Hanks, someone that's just beloved and can be like a warm figure to connect everyone together in this pandemic year. I mean, Regina King was basically the host. She gave the opening monologue.
She gave the big opening monologue.
I'll say this. You know what I didn't miss? I didn't miss the cheesy, shitty banter that we would get in previous years.
Yes.
That I didn't miss at all.
You want to know what I missed, though? I missed the performances of the original songs. I did.
Yeah, well, they did them during the pre-show, but why?
They did that. They did that beforehand, and it's weird because like, were they doing stuff to kind of? Did they take those out so that way everyone talking can like spend the extra time? Do that? Like, honestly, I'd be down for that, but it's not.
I think it
has to be The Rock as Danny DeVito in Jumanji: The Next Level, and it has to.
Are we in Florida?
And it has to be Jason Statham as his character from Spy. No further questions.
Okay, so in terms of the song performances happening during the pre-show, to a certain extent, I get it from a logistical standpoint during a pandemic year where it gave them more control and safety over who was there. But if they had spread them out throughout the performance, throughout the telecast, they could have done it. I don't know. That was another weird choice to me.
Yeah, it was a weird structure, and like I wasn't totally like against the structure of the show for a lot of it. I was like, all right, cool, let's shake it up. But I didn't think that they were ever going to do with Best Picture with not making that the end. Like the whole point is that it leads up to the film of the year, not a specific person.
Caro, I like that pick.
Like Maya Rudolph, or like Maya Rudolph with
Kristen
one of
Wiig.
her, with like Kristen Wiig or something.
Honestly,
or just get Kristen Wiig and Amy Poehler together, or
No.
The Muppets.
Kristen Wiig and Annie Mumlo as Barb and Star hosting the Oscars. That's what you need.
Yep. I can't wait to see that asked about in the Schmodown, since that was a movie that was meant for theaters. Why are you shaking your head? Have you watched Barb and Star? All right, I get it. You're just like, damn, this is some white people shit. But God, it's funny.
I loved it.
It is. I love it. I love it so much. It is Austin Powers meets MacGruber, but like
Hey,
better.
Jeff, keep in mind, I am mixed, so I still do like some white people shit.
Yeah, no, I get it, but it sounds like you like the wrong white people shit. So we'll work on you. But I think that I skipped over talking about Best Actor from the whole list because we'd already kind of talked about that. But
Sort of
you
led-
don't want to
led
get me
off
on the
with
verge
that.
of crying again. You don't want to
like
get me on the verge
Anthony,
of crying again.
like here's the deal. Gary Oldman's the only one that shouldn't have been in there. Stephen Yeun,
100%.
masterful work,
work.
wonderful work. So glad he was in there. Riz Ahmed, same thing, incredible. So glad he was nominated. Chadwick Boseman, also incredible.
Should have
Anthony
won.
Hopkins, incredible. It was down to Chadwick Boseman. I knew that there was a groundswell of support, late support during when voting was starting for the father. In my mind, I knew there was a chance, but
I did too.
But I was ready to accept that he could be the spoiler, and then they changed the way that the show was going to end, and it didn't pay off in the way that it should have from an emotional standpoint. In fact, it did the opposite.
I've never seen film Twitter so united on a front.
Yeah, because it's like like the only person. It's funny. Like the closest thing to like being positive about it was like Whitney Seibold. He had tweeted out. He was like, I mean, but Anthony Hopkins was good in The Father.
Right.
He was there.
He was.
No one's saying he was bad.
No, not at
one
all.
is saying he was bad. It's just,
I'll keep repeating. Read the room.
Exactly.
Read the room.
All right. Let me find this tweet real quick, and then I think that we'll probably wrap up here, just because we've been going an hour and a half, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I have work. So, I'm sorry. When I say that, I mean to say I have work. I'm going to get up and then procrastinate for a couple hours before I actually start anything.
Shocked to hear that. What a surprise.
So, here's one of the two things that David Ehrlich said that I really like was one of them is everything about that he can be pretentious in a lot of ways, but there's some things that I agree with and I like to hear from.
I'm not saying he's my enemy because I don't actually know him, but I feel like if we did know each other, we would meet at Weehawken at dawn.
Yeah, so here's what it
drawn.
says. Everything about that was a bummer. Oscars fucked up big time, not saving Best Picture for last. Boseman doesn't get the tribute he deserves, and Hopkins gets a what the fuck just happened moment for the single best performance of his entire career.
Yeah.
And to me, I thought that's absolutely what just happened.
This would have been a perfect year for a tie.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
Yo, did y'all notice Naya Riviera and Jessica Walter were not included in the In Memoriam?
Not until you mentioned it, but the In Memoriam was terrible. It was so rushed. The song choice was terrible.
I just Variety just brought it up.
Naya will probably be in the Emmys one because she was primarily television. I believe like that's what happens. They have to split and have someone be in one or the other. I don't think they ever have it in multiple ones. I don't actually even know many movies that Naya was in. So I know her from Glee. But here's another one from David
Jessica Walters though.
Jessica Walt, yeah, she was also like a lot of TV stuff too, because in the end she was known for huge television stuff and a couple of and Archer for Mallory Archer. I didn't think we'd ever see another Oscars ending as bizarre as the Moonlight La La Land mix up. But it's like I've always said, if a man can form a friendship with an octopus, then I guess anything is possible.
Wait, quiz show. You want to know what IMDb has Naya Riviera known for as her biggest movie they're known for?
What's that?
The Master of Disguise, Captain America Kid. That's her biggest movie role, apparently. I am to IMDb.
I'm sorry, but doing Best Picture in the middle of the Oscars is exactly what COVID would want. There's another guy here. I saw this tweet that said, "I think that's the first Best Picture acceptance speech to include the words, 'Please watch our movie.'"
Yeah. No, wasn't there one a couple years ago who basically said that?
I mean, the only other one based on the amount of money that movies had made that says "Please watch our movie" would probably be about like, I don't know, The Hurt Locker, because everything else made at least enough money to say that people watched it.
That sounds familiar, actually.
I thought
You mentioned The Hurt Locker.
I thought they brought it up last year for Parasite because still a lot
Maybe.
of people.
I mean, they were saying in general, they were talking about like, please watch our movie, please watch more movies that are different than the ones that you normally watch. That's how I felt they were talking about. Yeah.
I just remember having to explain to my friends how much of a masterful film Parasite is, being the film guy.
Someone here, Joaquin Phoenix is the midpoint between Daniel Day-Lewis and Jared Leto.
They're not wrong.
This is just and then Video Drew, great tweet here. Makes sense from the director of Unsane.
Valid. Fair. I did appreciate the aesthetic choice. I like the aspect ratio in the film stock they were using. That looked sharp. It gave it a cinematic quality. It didn't feel like a television broadcast.
Yeah, it definitely had. I noticed that too. Like I mentioned this in our group chat. It felt like they kept changing the way they were filming it. It was going between like this more cinematic style to almost like cinema verite, like guerrilla style camera shots and moving around. Like suddenly it was like shots like it was a documentary. The way it was being moved around.
So,
I'm thinking Soderbergh is playing with form, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
So my buddy was telling me they were using those 8K cameras. The
Black Magics?
Maybe. I know WWE's been doing it recently for entrances. They've been using those high-end 8K cameras, and they said it seemed as if that's what the Academy is using. And that's why
it's really gorgeous. It's really gorgeous.
It looks
on my
great.
Xfinity. It's really gorgeous on my Xfinity account where they only project stuff in like unless you have a certain setting on your TV at like 720.
Literally, I said, I'm sitting there like, this shit looks like it's pre-recorded. That was the first thing out of my mouth.
No, I thought it was a pre-record. I thought so they were doing a pre-recorded thing because I didn't realize like that was a location. And I thought that I was like, this is definitely some pre-recorded thing because it's COVID, so we don't actually know what the group is going to look like, how they're going to be spaced out for it, and they're going to be. It had her coming in, and then it had the clapping. I thought it was going to have her like come on stage, sort of like when like Jimmy Kimmel did that, and it was an empty theater, and when he did that for, I believe it was the Emmys, and I thought that, but then it wasn't. It was like real people, and those cameras were incredible. That's funny. And at the end, it turned out that the best actor's last name is Skywalker. And the camera work was great with that. I did have an issue a bit with how much natural light was in there because it kind of like messed a bit of the lighting, but that wasn't the fault of. I mean, I guess you could say it's part of the cinematography's fault because like you think that they would have worked to take that into account, but. I think we're working on how can we fuck up the form so badly that people are going to want things like they were.
But now it's like Billy Crystal to come back in like an opening musical number and like cheesy jokes.
You know what's funny? Billy Crystal was one of my first Academy Awards back when Lord of the Rings. I remember.
He's hosted it. I mean, him and Bob Hope, I think, have hosted it the most times, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I just remember. I remember that one intro where they had him CGI'd in famous movie scenes, and then him sliding down the elephant's trunk from Return of the King. I
remember him. I believe this was Oscars 2005 for movies that came out in 2004. I have this very clear memory because I think that was the first full Oscars I watched. I watched parts of the one when Return of the King won. But I think $1 Million Babies win was the first one I actually watched in full. And that opening sequence where it had him in movies and then it had him taking the place of Jack Nicholson in the hospital where you see Jack Nicholson's bare ass. And it's just Billy Crystal's face on it. That's ingrained in that's like just imprinted on my brain now.
The other one is one of those years shortly after where he didn't get nominated, where he wasn't hosting, and he and somebody else came out of the tent. It was the year Brokeback Mountain was nominated. I was like, I'm not going.
I remember that. Yeah.
I actually, so I have a question. So Riz Ahmed gave the Sound Award, which went to Sound of Metal, the movie he's in. How do we feel about people giving awards out to films they're part of?
I'm not for it.
I'm
I
not
agree.
for it because when I saw that Regina King was giving it to original screenplay, I'm like, okay, cool. And then she also did adapt it, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Because like it's her own movie there, and she had to talk up her own movie and then be like, oh, but you lost.
You know, to a certain extent, I understand because they really had a limited number of presenters this year because of the pandemic, but they still could have switched them out and reordered them, so they're not. Yeah,
exactly. Like for instance, like if you wanted to have something where it was connected to people that could have won or lost, etc. When Samuel L. Jackson, I believe it was, did the screenplay not awards for 2018's films. He read them off, and he wasn't in Black Klansman, but he's a very good friend of Spike Lee, so it was a great moment for Spike Lee to be able to run up, and there was this big hug jump thing, but he wasn't in the movie.
But like even when he announced it, he's like, finally, it's just he got excited just opening that envelope, and that was
for his friend. Yeah, like it was very different. Like
with that, I loved.
And then when he did it for Green Book, you could tell how unenthused he was to say Green Book.
Honestly, so I'm sure you guys remember the GIF of Chadwick's reaction when Green Book won Best Picture.
Yeah,
where he like looks. That was him tonight from heaven, just turning around and like rolling his eyes, being like, again with these fucking Academy white people.
I'm pretty sure it was far worse than that.
probably.
I seriously, like, look, him losing an Academy Award, and this will be it, and I think we'll probably like cap it, because otherwise we might just end up kind of like just talking in circles about it, over and over. And that's not good content.
Too long, didn't read. We're angry.
Yeah, TLDR.
Fuck the Oscars.
TLDR, please watch our film. That's my quote. That's my impression of Frances McDormand tonight. And it was. I'm fine that he didn't win because Hopkins was incredible. I'm not fine with the way it was structured as a result. I'm not fine with the fact that even if it was at the end there, it was a recipe for disaster. And it was if he had won, it could have been an incredible moment where it was like, look, it's fine because this last year's been so fucked up and ended on a fucked up weird
plans. Note. Had he won and that was how it ended the show, it would have been cathartic and beautiful and powerful. Amazing.
This was a high risk, high reward situation.
And it went with the risk.
Sometimes when you bet it all on the ponies and your pony doesn't come first, you fucked.
Yeah, this was at the end of Fast 5 when the two guys, Don Omar and the other one, they go to the casino and he bets all of his money on black.
And bets all of it on red.
And in the other, and that was this. They bet it all on ABC, bet it all on black. So Matt's got that face. And so then
I don't know about that.
So goodbye, Matt. No, but then the other one then bet equally. They didn't have that safety net like those guys had at the end of Fast 5, where it's like, look, I'm going to bet to make sure you don't lose your money either way.
And they both lost because it looks like it lands on green.
So I just think there was no safety net. This wasn't the kind of thing that could have been salvaged. They did what there was no way to get out of that alive. So I guess the best thing was let's rip off the Band-Aid and end this shit now.
Also, they cut right to Questlove, who was just like, good night.
Yeah, no.
Like you could tell he was uncomfortable. No, he was uncomfortable.
Like what the hell was he supposed to do? So he's like, and good night. The Oscars normally win Best Director for variety specials or whatever at the Emmys. I don't think it's going to win this coming year.
No. Nope.
So yeah, I think that's it. There were some really good wins, really some surprises that were really notable.
Some good speeches.
Ultimately, some wonderful speeches. Thomas Vinterberg's speech, where we learned about the tragedy in his life and how he like pushed through. It was very, very heartbreaking and really wonderful. And unfortunately, there were just so many weird things, and I'm fine with it. Chris Evangelista or whatever from Slash Film, he said, "I'm not watching it tonight, but from what I can tell, this is the best Oscars ceremony ever because they're just throwing everything to the wind. And I love chaos or something like that." But that was before Best Picture was announced as coming up at that point. Like that was before all that shit happened. Ultimately, the chaos wasn't worth it, I think. There's a time to experiment, and there were things they experimented on that worked, and other things that were wild miscalculations. And I think that they need to reassess.
Wouldn't be surprised if this is the beginning of the end of the Oscars being aired on the major broadcast networks.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Disney owns the broadcast rights for that shit, and they have all these streaming things, so they might move it to that.
Maybe.
Where
I don't know.
ratings don't matter. So,
Yep.
But I think that's it. I think that's all we really can say. A lot of good wins in there. Anthony Hopkins is definitely deserving for an incredible performance, but it's a sour taste in our mouth because of how much we wanted Boseman to win because he's the people's champ in life and in death, and it's a shame that things happen this way.
I'm gonna look. You can see right there. It's always gonna be right there. So
yeah, and it's just. It's heartbreaking and it's upsetting, and this is going to be talked about for a while. I think that this is
right up there with La La Land.
I think this might actually be worse than the La La Land one.
I agree.
I think it's worse too because that was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
This was a calculated decision that shit the bed.
Yes.
What I meant in infamy, they're both high.
Oh yeah.
This is worse than the Rob Lowe opening musical number calculated.
Oh god, the Snow White shit.
Yeah, because that was just a ridiculous, weird thing that happened. This is an egregious thing that probably inflicted more trauma upon Boseman's family.
Yep.
The idea of losing was always a possibility,
because
but
apparently his family was there.
Yeah. Of course they were. Mm-hmm. There was going to be a big thing, and they fucking whiffed it. And all right, anyways, I don't feel like getting more upset about it. I'm sure that you don't either for the moment. So we're going to wrap up. Matt, where can people find you?
Watt Real Entertainment. You saw myself, Quiz Show, and a host of other people in this space on our Free for All 4 after show yesterday. It was a blast. You can go find us over there. Watt Real Entertainment. That is REEL, like a film reel. Watt spelled WAT. Got Spin from the Reel tomorrow. We have Adam Collins and Robert Parker coming on, and you'll probably find a video of me tomorrow ranting about this dumb shit because I am trying to compose my thoughts. And if anyone's been here the entire time, you saw how I nearly broke down on getting a chance to really talk about it. That this shit.
You definitely. When Jesse challenged you to say stuff for 30 seconds, it was obvious how much this affected. So I'm glad that you were able to, for now, keep yourself composed for the sake of just trying to get through a conversation. This will be an issue that I'm sure will hurt for a long time for a lot of people for a variety of reasons. Because at the end of the day, it's a fucking movie, and we love movies, and we love talking about them, and we love supporting the things that are great. And it sucks when things happen that don't go, not just necessarily wins or losses, but the way things go that can tarnish the legacy of something or ruin a memory of something.
Yep.
So I think that's what hurts the most.
Yep.
But I guess that's it there. And Max, where can people find you? What are you up to?
You can follow me on Twitter and Letterboxd at Cinemaxwell, Instagram at Cinemaxwell Inc. You can find me most nights on the PJ Campbell Network. Tomorrow night, we are doing our 100th watch along since we launched the network last year, which is crazy. And to celebrate, we're doing a double feature of Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2, which is going to be dope. And you can find me competing sometime soon in the First Class League. Yeah. I cannot announce a date, but there may or may not be one, so get ready. I'm coming for y'all fools.
I'd assume that because you're on the roster, there may be one. Closer to may not be one.
Yeah, of course.
So
who's to say?
Yeah, you could find me here. We got our main show on Tuesdays for Show Me the Money. This coming Tuesday, I believe we're going to be having the Spin from the Real Boys, Matt, Chris, and Shug, the newly announced third co-host of Show Me the Real.
I still don't think I'll be
Show Me the Real,
recovered by that. I'm just gonna be honest. I might not be
Spin
mentally
from the Real.
recovered by that.
It's all right. Just think about the matches. That's what we're going to talk about. And those are going to be we're going to be talking about the matches from last week. You can also check our backlog of stuff. This past just Saturday, we talked about the Free for All 4 recap. We had Ben Bateman, John Kaiser, and Sabrina Ramirez with
that fucking guy Kaiser. He could shove it up his ass. What a fuck nubbin.
A guest appearance by a guest appearance by Brandon Hanna popping up in
him
Sabrina's
too.
camera.
God, you just have like the worst possible guests, don't you?
Dwayne also popped up in Sabrina's camera, and
I'm cool with Dwayne.
Apparently, I think his name is Ralph made an appearance from Sabrina as well.
I am intimately familiar with Ralph. He's my guy.
I didn't know who Ralph was until I was on my 8th beer, and that was a weird time to find out about Ralph. So after that,
Ralph did a box commercial. You got to pay attention to this stuff.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of things. And this Thursday, we're going to have our final installment for the time being of the family show.
Fuck, I still got to make an intro for that.
Hobbs and Shaw. Hobbs and Shaw is, of course, a spinoff. We've gone through all the main entries, but this is the most recent one, so we are going to cover it. And then we'll take a break until F9 comes out. And it's going to be a lot of fun talking with the guys about, what's absolutely a superhero film at that point. And excited to talk Black Superman. Other than that, we got some things in the works, but we're going to be taking a break after Family's show before we start up other stuff. We're going to do Loki in a couple months. I think our next Family show iteration is going to be about the Step Up films. And
call me.
I will not be doing intros for that.
I will. How about this? I will continue to hit you up for these shows until you show up for one. All right.
Look, it's been
a year. It's been a year. I get it.
It's been a year. I've been going through some things.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure I'm free Thursday to talk Hobbs and Shaw.
Why would you want to talk about that movie though?
Man, people like that movie. Just because you hate it doesn't mean that other people have to.
Let me have my fun, bro. Let me have my fun.
It's not fun. It's not fun when people want to talk about it. And every time
I'm in a bad mood. It is fun for me right now.
I want you to troll elsewhere. You go back to the dungeon. And anyways, I think that's about it. So we can end here with
Brandy.
It's been a bad night. It's been a great night. Brandy, so glad you popped in to say hello before we ended because we were literally about to end the show.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! And like that, we are gone. Thank you.